Yo, yo, and we're back. If you're watching this will be my second video. This time, like, I've got a few like talking points that I want to touch on. Like, I kind of want to be more concise when I'm giving either like personal life experience or I'm giving a story time. So like, I don't be all over the place in these videos for future reference. In this one, I would like to talk about destroying your body while also simultaneously opening your mind. And before like we truly dive into this topic, I just want to say like two things, right? Well, I want to touch on two things. The first would be there are two types of people in this world, right? There are those that do and those that don't. And I know I'm generalizing it a little bit, but the gist that I'm trying to make is there are people in this world that live life to the fullest, right? Or like they plan out what they want to do, or they go and chase something regardless of the outside noise. And there are individuals that, unfortunately, they just are stuck within the system, right? Or they die within a world in which they never got to reach their true potential. And it's kind of like sad and unjust, but that's life, right? It's not fair. They make it seem as though, quote unquote, they make it seem as though everybody has equal opportunity, right? Especially where I'm from in the US. Like they make it seem like everyone has equal opportunity, and that could be, I wouldn't say like further from the truth. I'd say to a degree, we all have the chance to like create like due to capitalism, but like if we're talking about like paths, some have it easier than others. I'll say that. And it's those that like are already destined to like fall because they have an addictive mindset or they've been around like a certain environment that they just couldn't escape it, even if they weren't initially like, addicted to anything or distracted by anything. And that's the problem, right? And it's a lot of things, like especially like I feel like social media wise and internet wise, that kind of like tries to keep us in that mindset. And it's horrible. And I want to help anyone that I possibly can kind of get out of it because I've just recently like, kind of escaped it. I'm not going to say that like, oh yeah, I'm some type of like monk now or like, you know, this all-knowing guy. Like I'm still learning and I have had like moments where I almost reverted back to who I was, right? Like staying stagnant, being lazy, not focusing on my goals. And that's where I'm about to get to the next point, loving yourself, right? Before self improvement, like before destroying your body, before, opening your mind, you have to love yourself first, right? And I know, like, for some people, it may come natural. Like, they probably have always, grew up in a healthy household, or they probably already, like, seen or read, content in which they have learned to accept themselves or live for themselves and not by the means of others or not be controlled by the thoughts or words of others. And for me, like, that wasn't the case. I'm kind of a late bloomer. I'm not going to say that like I allow people to dictate who I was as a human being, but like at least for the last 6 years I've kind of been extremely hard on myself. And in my head I was thinking that it was just tough love. But I was literally like berating myself. Like my conscience was literally like saying, "Yeah, you're worthless. Like you can't do anything right. You're stupid." Because the old me felt like I could never do anything right. Like anytime I walked into a room and like I met someone, like whether it was relationship wise or like just friendship wise, it always went down a point of no return. And I'd say like, yeah, in most cases, looking back in hindsight, I probably was the problem. And majority of it was because I didn't love myself. And I allowed my subconscious to self-sabotage everything that I loved and cared about. And I'd be damned if I allow anybody else to go through that because it's literally like you broke your own heart in a way. Like you betrayed your own soul. And like the harsh truth is, it was a total like epiphany when like I realized it. But like most people won't even realize that they hate themselves, right? Like because we're so caught up in everything else around us that we don't take the time to actually genuinely ask ourselves, like, am I okay? Like, like what am I even doing? Like, what is even the point of all this? And I'm not trying to get into like a whole existentialism like topic because that's a whole nother video. But in my like personal perspective, I say this, right? The world around me, it was just like straight women, right? It was straight women, it was straight drugs, it was straight the next paycheck, when I'm gonna get that next high, when I'm gonna hang out with the next, lady, right? And it was getting bad because like all those things was fun, but it was distracting me from, caring about my well-being, like physically and mentally. It was hindering my growth because I'm basically just wasting a whole lot of money and time on temporary satisfaction, right? On like temporary happiness, if it was even that. It was more so just a dopamine rush just to disguise all the things that I didn't like about myself to keep me safe, right? Like when you get high, or when you indulge in the opposite sex, or whoever you have intimate relations with, it kind of takes the stress off, right? And it kind of like keeps you sane. But then when it's gone, you're like alone with your thoughts, and you don't want to be because you never cared about yourself to begin with. Yes. Right, like I know like it sounds crazy, right? But like it doesn't really hit you until it hits you. And that's why I want to like get this out, because I know that there's probably other people just like me that have like dove into like a point of no return, or they feel as though they're diving into one, but they just can't get out the rut. It's like subconsciously they know, like, but they just can't control it because life just keeps moving. And yes, it waits for no one. But in the end, all you have is yourself, and it's in your best interest to treat yourself with the utmost respect, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with saying no. Like, there's nothing wrong with stepping away from the high end lifestyle. Like, yes, when you are young, shit, even when you're old, I say like live life to the fullest. Like, enjoy it, because we don't know when it'll truly be our last day, especially in this era. But with that, do things in moderation. Like, actually take the time to get to know yourself, right? Actually take the time to like reach out to people that you care about. Make sure that they're doing fine. Spend time with them. Because yes, we won't know the last time we'll be here, right? So why are we so focused on things that doesn't matter in the long run, if none of it matters anyway? I don't want to get like too off, the main point that I'm trying to make, but yeah, with self-love, it comes sacrifice, right? It comes suffering. Like, you'll have to understand that, yeah, my life has these problems, or I do think this way and I want it to stop. I mean, of course, some people won't notice, and some people probably do, but they just don't care. And that's like the beauty of humanity, is just straight perspective. Like, right? We all have the way of going about things, and some may be more healthy than others, but this is just my, experience with it. And I just want to be better. I'm not going to burn myself out, right? I'm not just going to, straight. It's only like I drink water. It's only like I eat fruits and vegetables, lean meats for all eternity. And I just straight work out, and I don't do any sort of drug. I don't have any sort of fun. I don't go to parties, none of that. I'm more so going to say like just do things in moderation. Like, but you can't really like reach the next level of like improving yourself until you accept who you are. Like, understand that, yes, okay, I may be a little bit overweight or underweight. Okay, yes, maybe I might smoke a little bit too much and it's causing me to like not do the things that I'm supposed to when I'm supposed to do them. Okay, yes, maybe I have a womanizer problem, right? And it has allowed me to not be able to build strong foundations with like just the opposite sex. Like, I can't even have a normal conversation with them without sexualizing them. And some people might not go through any of these things at all, but they might have the thought in the back of their head, right? And it's just nice to be aware of it and be like, no, like there's layers to me and there's layers to human beings and there's layers to life and there's more to it that I just want to love and experience. And I can still indulge in all the fun that comes with this life without abusing it and digging myself into a hole in which I eventually might not be able to get out of. If you don't know how to love yourself or how to go about accepting yourself, you first have to figure out what it is at your core that you believe in, what it is at your core that you value the most, what it is in your core that you adore or like, you want to keep safe. If it's nothing, then you might have to start doing some soul searching, right? You might have to start trying out new things or hanging around different groups of people, or even if you have seen some things like, say, religious or like even like certain philosophies and you weren't initially like interested or didn't care for them, just try them out. Like ask around or research. You may be surprised. Like the thing that you were looking for was always right under your nose. You just never thought to look. Now, with destroying your body, of course, I don't mean like literally like fucking your, like fucking yourself up, right? I mean like physically, like pushing yourself to the limit, right? Like whether it's working out, treating your body right, like, dieting, taking that spa day, like just, get your body right. Like put it in a sense of like stress, but not something that would be detrimental to your health. Like don't overwork your bones to where you're like overly fatigued or you pull or break something, right? Like everybody has a quote unquote limit. Yes, it is nice to push past them, but don't push past the brink of which you can't return again, right? Like at the end of the day, we're still human. We only have but so much of a limit we can push past. It varies, but yeah. And the thing about it is, when you kind of like push yourself physically, in a way, it kind of also pushes yourself mentally. It builds that self discipline, right? And it kind of clears your mind. That's why a lot of people that are like depressed and stressed, they go to the gym because it is probably one of the most sanest forms of dopamine, like without abusing a drug or without indulging in all of the things that could lead to harm in the future. And I'm not going to sit up here and act like some like saint, right? I have just now started like working out heavily again. uh like of course pre-COVID when I was in high school and stuff, like it was just a routine thing because I played sports and I was outside a lot with like my active friends, and that was before like I indulged in women and drugs, at least on a consistent basis, right? Because when I went to college, it was kind of like all that stuff went away because I was so focused on like just having fun and like just not being stressed about academics, not being stressed about like family stuff, and not worrying about my own well-being. And with that, over time, I kind of like started to view myself less and less. And I didn't even notice that, you know, my health was diminishing, right? That my face was getting fatter, that my mind was getting foggier. And now that I've kind of like started to figure it all out again, I've cut down on weed. I'm still strong. Like I have relapsed here and there, but like at first I used to smoke every single day. Like right now I'm probably about what 4.5 or 5.5 days strong. I relapsed probably about last week or so. But yeah, I was doing pretty well. Like, and it's sometimes it takes baby steps, right? And sometimes you have to be transparent with yourself. Like just tell the truth, because with being honest, you kind of like just bring all of your, vices out into the open. And now, your mind and others can't use, that stuff against you. It's trust me, guys, like it helps, right? It helps. I'm trying to tell you. Like I've been there. And even if it don't help, you might just have to find other filters. Like some things don't work for everybody. You might just have to write your thoughts out, or you might just have to talk to yourself aloud. It is not weird, okay? We're human, and like it's beautiful to be human because we're just forever learning about ourselves, about each other, about the world, and we get to share these thoughts and these gifts like until the end of time. And when you kind of like destroy your body, it helps, like how I said before, it kind of helps with the mind being cleared. When someone keeps an open mind, you're kind of like now in a place where you can be aware of everything, right? You understand why people view things like this, right? You don't always have to agree, but understand. Like there are people that grow up in certain cultures, in certain like religions, in certain like environments where the things that they know is just universal for them, right? There's no other way. But to you, it's like, what? This is the way, right? Or there are other ways. And then to another person, there's like, oh no, there's no way. Like we're just doomed. And then for other people, it's like, yeah, this is what this is, and all of you are wrong. And I'd say if you truly want to find out, like for you, what's like right or wrong, or you want to like completely like shift your ideologies or moral compass, just read. Like read books outside of like your comfort zone and read books of your interest. And I especially will recommend fiction, not just self-help books. Because self-help books kind of all are saying the same thing, just from different perspectives and in different ways. Yes, it can help, but at the end of the day, they can only help you but so much because you still have to make the choice to do it yourself. Right? No matter what they say, it's just it won't work unless you do it yourself. And like some of you may already know this, like that read manga or like that, already read fiction like heavily, that you're way more like open-minded and aware because you understand like world building, right? You understand like the different implications that come with different species or different beings. And it's kind of true for our planet too. And some fiction books even transcend time, like Animal Farm, right? Like 1984. And like, listen, just take the time. Even if you don't want to read fiction, just try to read like any type of book that may be outside of your comfort zone because it'll open up your perspective, right? Even if you don't agree with it, you might become more understanding of why these things are the way that they are in the world or why people think these things in the first place. And with understanding, it comes a cognizance of togetherness, right? Because at the end of the day, no matter how much hate we have for one another, no matter the skin color, no matter how we feel about certain things, no matter our ideologies, right? We still all are the same species at the end of the day, right? And I say like also like try to reduce consuming like too much media or information that won't benefit you in the long run or at least like hinder your growth, right? Because some things will stop you from being open to perspectives, right? They'll keep you mentally stagnant. Like and with mental stagnancy, you kind of like have an overabundance of brain fog or like you might care less about, you know, other things around you that don't pertain to any of your beliefs. And by all means, nobody is obligated to feel, empathy for other individuals. But I'd say, like, at a human level, that's all we ever wanted, right? We were put on this earth to interact and socialize with each other. Like, we're literally here to repopulate, to organize, to build, and to become better. I mean, at least that's what I believe. We have those abilities inept into our nature and DNA. So I think that it's in our best interest to use them, especially for good. But yeah, like this is some real stuff. I don't want to like over like talk, especially not for the second video. So yeah, those are the main things that I wanted to focus on. And yeah, if this got to you, like I hope that it helped. It was nice to get this out once again. And see you around for the next video. Yeah.